In this video, I took a different team combination onto every chamber of floor 12 on the newest Spiral of Abyss. Well, kind of. But what do I mean? Well, I tried to switch out what type of team I was going for, even if I did retain some of the same units, and I tried to make sure that I had at least one new team combination. For instance, these are the teams that I used on the first chamber of floor 12. The first half consisted of a melt team composition, but I don't usually use Kaya there because I don't have him built, but it was interesting to be able to use him on that team to be able to break the Seahorse's shield a lot quicker. For the second half, it composed of my Raiden Hyperbloom team. For the second chamber, however, I switched out my second half team completely and only made a slight adjustment to my first half team, making it where my first half had Zhongli instead for some shielding, and my second half composed of a vaporized team with Yelan, Xingqiu, Dory, and Hu Tao. And I know many of you guys are going to ask, why is Dory there? And that's because I literally needed someone like a healer to be able to get me through the dogs onto the second chamber with this team. And just like I did for the second chamber, I went and switched out a completely different team, this time for the first half, and I switched to a Linny Mono Pyro team, and then for the second half, I kept it the exact same. And even though I really ideally only switched out one character this time around for Linny instead of Ganyu, using a Mono Pyro team is a lot different than a melt team. And I know a few of you might say, Jobito, that kind of seems a little cheap. You didn't really completely switch out every single team. Why didn't you? Let's just say I don't exactly have every single character built up, and I don't have a lot of different team compositions. I mainly only use like 3 to 4 on my best days, so that's why I hope you guys can be a little lenient. I tried to switch it up as best I could and at least try a different team reaction with some of the same units that I brought. Chamber 1 of floor 12 honestly was really difficult for me. I can't tell you guys how many runs it took me to finally get a perfect time for this, but that's more or less because I'm not used to using someone like Kai on my team, and there's tons of other teams you can use to break the Seahorse's shield. But if I had bad RNG, or even if my Ganyu did not crit that much, then it was a reset. But honestly, if I had a run just like this, my Ganyu definitely took care of the Seahorse, no problem. I won't focus on the other side too much because you guys have seen my Hyperbloom team in other runs that I've done in the last 2 weeks on Spiral of Abyss, but yeah, this was honestly pretty easy. The only problem was having to worry about the corrosion, and I brought Xingqiu instead of Yelan. Having an AoE hydro damage attacker is really good since Yelan wouldn't be able to hit them all too quickly.
Witness the power of Fuwa. Time to act. Inazuma shines eternal. Rain outlines your fate. Rain cutter. Torn to oblivion.
Chamber 2 was more or less the same on the first half, but I didn't have to worry about any shields, so I could just use my Ganyu to her fullest potential. And even though I brought Zhongli for some shielding, I gotta say that the new enemies from Fontaine definitely do whittle down your shield pretty quickly. And honestly, the downtime that I had between my burst uptime, especially because those first enemies steal some of your energy, made it where it was taking a little bit longer than I had hoped to get rid of these enemies. I think that Mono Pyro Lenny team would definitely be better for this because he's able to shred them, especially with the buffs that he has against the new Fontaine enemies.
Nice and spicy.
I will have order.
Everybody stand. I can fix this.
The second half was more or less the easier side here, but of course Dory does kind of contradict with Hu Tao, because if my health is above 50%, Hu Tao is just not going to be doing her utmost damage. But honestly, that wasn't that big of a deal to me. I was just trying to focus on survivability. Not having a shielder on this side made it where I had to make sure I always had a lot of health, especially when they're separated from each other. So Dory, even though she did contradict Hu Tao, made it where I was able to take care of this boss pretty quickly.
Let me weave you a verse. Busted. Things are about to get dicey. Cross over. Rain outlines your fate. Rain cutter. Game's up. Fun's over. No, my sword.
And that finally brings us to chamber 3, which honestly wasn't too bad. I still feel like the first chamber was the hardest, especially for the first half, but this side could be really annoying. I think that Lenny's honestly better here than Ganyu or someone like that, because I'm able to heal up from his abilities. The new wind magicians are really dangerous and you have to watch out for them. Not only do they shred your shield, they apply the new effect which makes it where you can't heal for a short amount of time, and they also just deal so much incredible damage to where they can one-shot you with one attack.
Out of my sight. Mirror images disperse. Step right up. Winter. Teamwork is tricky. Magic can't keep death, you know. Here comes the finale. Now disappear. A gift for you. You're toast. Everybody stand back.
Stabilize.
Let's get this show on the road. And voila. I can still.
For the second half though, honestly I did have the time against me. I only had about a minute, but this side is extremely easy and someone like Hu Tao can take care of this boss extremely quickly. Even though this is the new one, it honestly felt like it was probably the easiest second half out of the whole floor 12, and even though you could just jump and avoid the attacks, I was able to take a little bit of damage because of course I had someone like Dory there, but Hu Tao just absolutely shredded this and it allowed me to finish the Spiral of Abyss.
No, my sword. Ring cutter. Things are about to get Let me read you a verse. Here's the time.
There we have it, 36 stars on the 3rd anniversary Spiral of Abyss, and I had a lot of fun imposing this challenge upon myself, and I really had to push myself to get 36 stars, and it actually got pretty close on some of them. Of course, if I had Novelette, this would have been a lot easier, but honestly, even though I was challenging myself, I was surprised at how close it came down to the time limit, but maybe that's just because I'm bad. I really had a lot of fun doing this though, and I hope you all enjoyed it as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video.